take care of you.
Hello, let's see, we're trying this again. Let's see if I can get Katrina on. Let's see. So I am waiting for Katrina to log in. Let's see, is that you, Katrina? It's got one eyeball up there. This light is crazy. I'm sorry I keep on spinning around. Uh, Hold on. Hey, so let's see. Let me bring Katrina on camera. Approve. There you are. Look at this head, Diva. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I had to get right for, the podcast, so I had to get, my hair all together. But yeah, I'm
I
here.
see. I should have got myself together a little bit. I'm trying to get this light in order behind me. I don't know what is going on. Let me see. I'm trying to find the right light in the room. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. Oh, I'm knocking stuff over. But hey, dog, how are
Oh,
you?
oh goodness. Let me keep this up right here so that way it doesn't fall in. How are you today?
I am wonderful, thank you. I apologize for the time change. I was, like I said in my email, I was at a doctor's appointment, so I had to fly back over here to get on the call with you.
No, it's okay. I was flexible, so I appreciate the time with you though.
Absolutely. So we are, and people are going to come and go. This is still,
Yeah.
it's just a conversation. It's nothing standard or form letter or anything like that. It's just a talking conversation. And then I'll post it to YouTube and all of the social media channels afterwards.
Okay.
So I do appreciate your time today and chatting with us. I have your answers here. um, so the first thing you can do is introduce yourself, your company.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, cool. So my name is Katrina Highsmith. I am the founder and senior brand strategist at the Highsmith Group, which is my own public relations and marketing firm. And we specialize in fashion, nonprofit, and lifestyle brands. So we kind of basically do brand strategy, public relations, media relations, marketing, social media management, event planning for our clients.
Oh, you do it all, honey. She done the brand strategy,
Yeah.
marketing, events, all of it.
Yes, because I think from the beginning to the end, I love working on new projects. So when it comes to building a website and it comes to messaging and structuring messaging and stuff, we're always involved from beginning to end. Because at the end of the day, it all plays and ties into the branding of the business or the company or whatever it is that we're working with. So I do enjoy being, involved from the beginning to the end. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And so it says that your hometown is Philly, New Jersey, because you
Yeah,
got
so
Philly, New Jersey.
yeah, because my entire family is from Philadelphia, and I was born in Philly. And then we did move to New Jersey, so I grew up there too. And then I moved to Atlanta. So my home ties is Philadelphia, New Jersey, and then Atlanta now.
How long have you been here in Atlanta?
8 years. So I moved
Okay.
here right after I graduated from college, and I've been here ever since. So I really like Atlanta.
Okay. I do too. I've only been here about 5 years now, but I love it here.
From Baltimore, right?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Yep,
sir,
from
sir.
Baltimore.
I have a girlfriend from Baltimore. Her name is Tasha, and she is just the best. And she talks just like you too, because your accent comes out, and so does her. So you guys are both from B More, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm sure we hear it all the time. It's like, say two, say do.
Dude, I know. That's how she is. People always ask her to say something.
It's the craziest thing. It is. So your current clients are PZI Jeans. All of us semi big girls and curvy girls, all of us, we love us some PZI jeans.
Yeah, they're a phenomenal brand. Yeah, I've worked with them for 4 years, and I have another client called Loft P. They're called Life of the Party podcast, and they are based in Atlanta. They're fairly new and to the YouTube and the digital scene, and I've been working with them on their season 2. So it's been a journey with them, and they're a great client to work with. And so I'm helping them just kind of structure their show, get their production together, and then also just with their social media, getting people tuned in, helping them book guests, and just getting the word out about the new YouTube show. And they're also a podcast too. For their season 3 will be audio and visual. So they
Okay.
have a lot of things coming up, and I'm excited about it.
Okay, awesome. And I know you have another client listed, or I mean, you can tell
Yeah.
us about all of your clients.
Yeah, so I was working with another company for Dr. Venus Opal Reese. I was helping with her media placements in certain cities. She's on a book tour right now. She's currently in New York. And
Okay.
so that was fun. And so it was basically just getting her, getting her media placement and while she's touring these different cities. And as we know, pitching is a fun job. But yeah, good media placements. I was working with Lindsay from Walker Associates. I don't know if you're familiar with her. You might know Lindsay, but she's a great partner to work with too.
Okay. And I see your bachelor's degree from Delaware State,
Yes,
and you sit on a board of the National Association of Black Female Executives in Media and Entertainment.
FMATL. Shout out to them. I do. Yes, we had some great events last year that we did. We have some things upcoming this year. So it's been a journey with them, and they're a great organization to be a part of. They have so many different connections, and so I enjoy working with them.
Okay. Okay. Um, so you have on here about the retreat. You can tell us a little bit more about that and the events that you've done before we move on to the how did you get your start traditional type questions.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. So I'm also on the board for Royal Teens as well, and so they are in the process. Royal Teens is an organization. It is a teen-based organization, basically how at-risk and underprivileged youth basically excel in this day and age. And we're planning a trip to Ghana in 2019 for them. So we're
Nice.
currently looking for sponsors at this time, and the founder Brian. He is actually we have an event this Sunday where we have to speak to the youth just to make sure that they're on board and they understand like what the organization is about, because a lot of people want to join things that they're not really familiar,
Right.
what exactly is. They just hear a trip to Ghana and think that, but there's
I
other
want to
elements.
go.
Right. It's other elements that they have to abide by. They have to be upstanding teenagers, and there's things that we kind of fact check them and check them on their journey, so that way they can utilize the skills and be able to go out into the world and be able to know that the Royal Teens help them in their journey to be upstanding citizens, and the challenges that they may or may not face moving forward. So that's really exciting, and I'm really excited about that event that we're planning. And then working with obviously like Loft P and them, they have a singles mixer that's coming up. They have a winery trip that we're planning. So there's a lot of different events going on in the background. It's just a matter of which one do I want to say first type of thing. But event planning
Right.
is a part of the job, and so it's a lot of different events that I'm currently working on. But yeah, so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. So, how did you get your start in PR and branding and events and all of this fun stuff that we do?
Yeah. So I actually, when I first went to Delaware State University, I knew I wanted to be in communications. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So initially, I liked the broadcast journalism side of things, and then when I realized that I'm actually a little shyer than I thought,
Oh, okay.
I said, "Yeah, I'm not shy, but I don't like the attention, that kind of thing. It makes me a little weirded out."
Right.
So
Okay.
I talked to my advisor at the time and I just asked her, like, what can I do in communications that's kind of like behind the scenes, but still involved with, you know, the broadcast journalism side of things. And they recommended I do public relations.
Okay.
So I didn't really know what that was at the time, but I
So
transferred.
many people still don't.
Don't understand it, right? I know. I know. It's like we always have to, you know, defend ourselves. But
Yes.
I transferred majors. I switched majors at my second semester freshman year, and ever since then I was involved in public relations, and I enjoyed what I was doing, even in school, doing the different internships, and then moving to the Atlanta market. Before I graduated, I was able to work with some great brands here before I actually graduated. So I knew I wanted to move to Atlanta. And after I graduated, I moved to Atlanta. I secured a job at a cybersecurity firm,
Oh
doing
wow.
public relations. Yeah, doing public
Oh
relations
wow.
for them. And during that time, my former business partner, Kristen, and she was working in Connecticut and I was working in Atlanta. And we had the same drive and we had the same ideas and goals and passion at the time. So we said, well, why don't we just come together and actually start our own PR firm, which at the time was called KH2 Public Relations.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. And at like 22 years old, we started our firm. We worked together for primarily like 5-6 years, and then I ended up we went our separate ways. She wrote a book and she's now an author and she tours around the country too. Shout
Oh
out to
nice.
Kristen. And but yeah, so I rebranded and started the Highsmith group. So I've been doing it for about 10 years now, you know, technically public relations and marketing, but that's kind of how my start came when it comes to my business side of things.
Okay. Now, is this what you wanted to be when you grew up? So, like when you
No,
were a
no.
little girl, like it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be
Right.
a publicist.
I know, right? And the funny thing is, I'm a communicator by nature. I'm a Gemini, so we definitely have that communications thing going on. So I knew I wanted to be something that I was able to like speak or communicate. So growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. I just always was that child that would get up in front of everybody, like, okay, this is classes in session, you know, with my friends. So I knew that I always wanted to be a teacher. Ironically enough, people used to try to persuade me to be an attorney, just because I had that argumentative style of communicating.
Okay.
And they said,
Okay.
you would be a great attorney, or you love to argue and you love to make your point rather than talk about right and wrong. And they're like, you would have made a great attorney. So that I missed my calling there. But I wanted to be a teacher all in all, like truthfully growing up. And then it turned into a publicist. So I guess I'm teaching people
Okay.
how
But
to
if you,
manage their brands, I guess.
right, how to stay out of trouble.
Right. Right. Oh my God. Yes.
So if you could tell that younger Katrina um, something that would have helped you in the process, you know, the segue between teaching, debating, being an attorney, and PR, what is something that you would tell to younger Katrina?
I think to my younger self, I would definitely encourage people to stay focused, because moving to Atlanta at a young age, I would say I was about, at the time I was 21. So it's a party
Mm-hmm.
city. There's a lot of distractions,
Mm-hmm.
especially when when you want to be an entrepreneur, which obviously we all know as entrepreneurs that nothing's guaranteed. You really have to go out and work for what it is that you want. And you need
Right.
to really network. So if I'm too busy trying to party all the time, because that's what people my age are
Right.
doing, because they're going to more so 9 to 5s, or they're not putting in extra work to do things that I wanted to do. You have to stay focused and grounded, and that was probably the hardest thing that was the hardest thing to do, moving to Atlanta at 21. It was a party city,
I can
one of
imagine.
the right. That Atlanta was real at the time. So that
Right.
yeah, I was like, well, wait, I want to be in the club too. I want to be out and I want to party, and I'm young and I'm trying to be hip too. So that was
Right.
a distraction, because at the end of the day, I have to focus on what it is that I truly, truly wanted. And I think that's where that's what I struggled with. Just trying to make sure that I stayed on the up and up, and stayed focused. So eventually I did. And I think that also comes with surrounding yourself with people who will push you and motivate you as well. Because nobody's going to motivate you like yourself, just to be clear.
Right.
But I think that
Right.
it's when you surround yourself with like-minded people and you know that starting out to be an entrepreneur, then it'll work out. You know, so surround yourself with good people and people who want to do the things that you want to do as well.
That's great because that kind of goes along with the next question. That question was, what would you tell people who are looking to follow in your footsteps? So that was a great segue because you definitely need to surround yourself with positive, like-minded individuals. But then
Individual.
at the same time, you got to stay focused, like you said, because
Yes.
distractions are real.
They are. You have to have some form of balance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a time where people were just in the club every night when I first moved here. I was interning, so it was like I didn't have that much responsibility at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so much going on. I'm like, wait a minute, we party here every day. There's something to do. When do we, you know, when do you guys work? I just wasn't understanding the philosophy and the mentalities of the people on the younger scene of Atlanta when I first moved here. So things that I know now, if I would have knew then, I definitely wouldn't have surrounded myself with certain individuals. And I've always been good with kind of, you know, filtering people. Like I can tell if you have bad energy, but working in the field of public relations and also working around entrepreneurs, I started to really, you know, become in tune with energy. Like, okay, I can't work with this
Girl,
person,
that
be around that
energy.
person. Yeah, I'm
That
like, you know what?
energy.
It's real, right? It's something that I wish I knew back then, because then I wouldn't have wasted time on certain people or effort. But definitely, what I would say for people, you know, following in footsteps is to find a mentor in what it is that you want to do. I think that that's seriously important, because they'll be able to kind of help you not make the mistakes that they did. Things change all the time, and obviously in our field, everything evolves. And you know, social media came out of nowhere, and how we utilize it today, through public relations tactics and things of that nature. But I think that that some of our mentors didn't, you know, they may have not used that, and we can kind of teach them too. But just from certain strategies that happen or certain incidences that occur, we can reach out and say, well, what would you have done? Or what could I do differently? And I think that one thing that is beneficial, especially Adrienne, you and I are in groups on social networks, that we kind of surround ourselves digitally in a virtual world with other PR and marketing professionals. So we do have a question. We're like all mentors to each other. Because before that, more so you have to call that person on the phone, or how would you know, how do you solve a problem that someone may have already faced? So I do encourage people to get a mentor. And if they can't find an actual mentor, because I know it's hard to find people that actually mentor you and care about you, but if not, then you can join the organizations that you and I are involved in, and be able to seek out, advice if you need to.
Yeah. And this is, even though it wasn't, well, it was twofold. The purpose of the interview and a call is to obviously speak about what we do and like highlight issues that we have.
Yes.
But, it turned into a great video for people who are new to this city, because everybody's coming to Atlanta. A lot of people, even though I'm always like, we closed. I'm not even from here, but I'm like, we closed.
God, nobody wants any more traffic on this.
Oh my
God, we cannot afford it. Like, please stay. Like, I'm just kidding.
But it's so great because you have touched on some great topics that, even though it's not the same party city that it was, it's definitely still a party town. I mean, I tell people now, we're adults. And I tell people, I'm like, people who want to come to Atlanta for a vacation or to visit or something like that, I'm like, listen, we don't really do too much on the weekend here. Like families, individuals, yes, but any type of real party event, that happens during the week. And people are like, what, y'all party on Tuesday? I'm like, yes.
It's a different, and I tell my girlfriends that too, because they'll call me if I'm, friends, and I'm like, hey, I'm about to go here and go here. And some of their lifestyles are a little different from mine. So they're like, you're about to go out again? And I'm like, yeah, because I have an event. It's not necessarily, in Atlanta, we turn everything into a party, but it, we go to screenings or premieres and things of that nature. And it's during the week. And I think that the vibe is different. So I don't primarily like to go out on the weekends. That's that weekend crowd. I mean, it's no offense to But I just think that I know the events that I attend, I can network with people that I could possibly
Exactly.
take me to another level versus just me being in a regular club on a Sunday or a Saturday. So I agree with you when
Right.
it comes to the weekday events. And I think that goes for like New York too. There's a lot of weekday
Mhm.
events that are fun,
Right.
and you have that work play balance because you can actually dress up, have a good time, maybe hear good music depending on where you're going, and then still
Mhm.
network with people.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you done everything that you want to do in the areas of all of your area? Like, is there one that you're like, okay, I'm good with that, but I still need to do more in another, or I need to do more in all of them? Where are you
Right.
with that?
That's a good question because I think, like I was saying, in our field, everything evolves. So what is important to do is kind of just self-educate and making sure that you're
Mhm.
staying abreast in your field so that way you remain relevant. Because one thing that I find very annoying is when a client tries to tell you something like in your own field. I'm like, first off,
Stay in your lane.
and I love my clients, but and I'm not pointing any fingers, but you know how people just want to Google real quick and see a new article and they're like, hey, well, what about this? It's like it might not fall into the structure of what you have going on. So I think
Right.
self-education is very important, and I love to learn. And I don't think that any criticism is bad criticism when it comes to educating yourself or someone trying to enlighten you on something else that's going on.
Right.
But but that can just be so funny to me. So I just think that it's important to stay educated. That's why when we're in our groups that we're in, we can hear, people might share articles that, and insight
Yeah.
and things of that
Mhm.
nature. And I think it's important to just stay abreast, stay relevant, because things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
But one thing that I would like to do is really go global with certain things. I really want to work in a global setting. I really want to have that knowledge and education to really understand if public relations and marketing is the same everywhere. Like, so in the
Mhm.
United States, we know how we kind of operate and what's appropriate and what's not, ethics wise.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times our skills are transferable. So if you're in technology, like I started out in, and now I'm in fashion, nonprofit, and lifestyle, it's still the same across the board. The press release is still structured the same. It's just the content is different, or
Right.
who am I sending the communications to might be a different person. But I just want to see what it's like overseas. I just want to see ethically, like when it came down to the H&M situation where the little boy said
Mm.
was
That's
monkeying
a
the jungle,
Yeah. That's a great
and
one.
yeah, and the mom was completely fine with it, but all of us in the States were taken aback, and we wanted to boycott H&M. But that's a PR situation that they had to spin and deal with, and I just wanted to know what it's like to be on the forefront of a global brand in another country and what they have to deal with, because I just want to see, does it measure up to what we think it is specifically working just with stateside clients. And I know it's kind of like a long
Students,
stretch, but
sorry. Okay, say students watching this, this is a great case study that she just brought up for you. Like, if you need
right.
your capstone project,
Yeah.
if you need your your case study, you need a white paper. That
Yeah.
is because that is a very great. That's
Yeah.
because that is
I'm
that
really
was
curious.
it that yeah, yeah. You got me thinking about it now. I don't feel like doing it, but I'm thinking about it because I'm like, that is very valid because we do see things through different eyes. And, like you said, the mom came back like, we're fine. It was kind of similar to the Dove commercial. The
Yes.
participants in the Dove commercial were
Yeah.
fine with it. We don't know if that was simply because they got paid or if that was really how they felt about it.
Felt.
However,
Right.
we're looking at it through different eyes. Like, okay, well, why are we so offended if they're not?
Yeah, it's the perception, and that's what we manage as PR people. We manage perceptions and marketing. We want people to, have some type of emotional attachment to the brands, but that's not the right way. So even though you go
Right.
viral with these negative, ads, there,
Hmm.
Dove is kind of like, well, wait a minute, like that wasn't the intention, but look what everyone is feeling. They're
Right.
not feeling your ad. They're feeling some type of way about it, and so that's a global brand too.
Right.
And so, crisis communications I had to deal with on a smaller level. I did have to deal with crisis communications throughout my career, but I don't think it's anything similar to a Dove or the H&M. And I kind of want to,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do crisis communications. I definitely don't want to be Olivia Pope. But I want to, but I would like to just know from start to finish, what do you guys do? What are your plan of actions? Do you come up with like a list of questions and then answer them ahead of time? Like those are kind of things that I've kind of dealt with throughout the years. But on a Dove or H&M, when you guys have a backlash like that, I want to know what your protocol, so those are the kind of things I want to see, because you're coming from a global level, not just, a regional or a local level. And that's kind of what I would like to explore more.
And that kind of that goes to our next question too. Some of the taboo things that we have to deal with in our industry. What are some things that you?
That's
that does not break the client confidentiality.
Right. Well, one thing that I did mention in the questions that I did submit to you and the answers was that it was always taught taboo. I think any type of emotional involvement with your client can be fine on a certain level, but any type of intimate, I think, is taboo. I think that is looked down upon. I don't think it's ethical. And I think that was always instilled in me. I don't know why, but that's just several publicists told me, independent publicists have told me that when I first was interning, it's just never get involved with your client. If you feel like there's any type of reasoning that may happen, just end it. And so that's never happened to me ever. But just so we know. But I just wanted to, I think that's one of the biggest taboos when it comes to independent publicists. Now, when you're working for an agency, or if you're working for a brand like a Coca-Cola and you're doing public relations within, within a department, I think that would be different. And so I think sending out different communications that you shouldn't. For example, if you working in public relations department for Coke and you're sending communications to Pepsi, I mean, that's like a big factor of, committing non-disclosure agreement, contracts. So I think stuff like that. But I think, I can't really come from a department head taboo. Because I never really had any issues when I was working corporate or working for other brands. And so I think that's why I kind of come from an independent publicist side by saying, like, don't get involved with your client. I think that was always taught to me. So that's one thing that sticks out of my mind.
Right. Yeah. So what's next for the Highsmith group? What are we working on? What we got planned?
Yeah, so I recently just relaunched my website. So if anyone wants to please check it out, thehighsmithgroup.com. But other than that, it's just really what I was going back to with the global side of things, because I do a lot of things within the Highsmith group aside of public relations and marketing, like, graphics, web development, and things of that nature. So we are a full service agency, and we do event planning and like I said, graphics and web development. But I really would like to work on a global level. And I think that's my next step. Like, that's my calling. I really would like to work overseas. Primarily, I wanted to work in France. But Europe is where I would like to just work. It doesn't have to be long term. It could be just contractual work. But that's where I'm kind of in the process of just building those communications overseas. So that way I can work on a global level. I think that would boost credibility for myself as well as expand my portfolio. And I think that's kind of where I am going right now. And I'm excited for what things that are going to be coming up. And once they do, I'll definitely let you know. But that's kind of building the foundation right now to just be able to position myself to do something in Europe.
Okay. Now, are you doing graphics and web design, or is there someone working at your company?
I know. Well, no, I have someone working in my company, but
Okay.
I do know how to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do know how to work Photoshop, and I do know how to build a website.
Girl, you're doing it all.
Yeah, I do know how to build a website, primarily WordPress platforms. But it's just, how just with other people that may know how to do public relations, but they don't have the time. It's just I don't, want to spend, hours upon hours building a website when I know my main focus is, media pitching or, coming up with strategies and stuff. So I do have someone that does work for me that does do those things.
Okay.
So.
Okay. That's wonderful. Is there anything else that our watchers and readers should know about you? Anything else you want to add? Anything that I may not have asked?
Um, I think well you did ask a lot of questions and I really appreciate the time. But I think that one thing is that I would just want to mention is that like I really have come to the realization that, you know, in the field that we work in, especially being a woman, especially being a woman of color, that we do have a lot of trials and tribulations that we have to face, whether it's combative within one another, and there's so much business to go around for everyone that a lot of times, you know, I end up working with other publicists because the
Mm-hmm.
project is so big, you got to bring in on people. So I think that one thing is a misconception that just because, you know, you have a company, I have a company, that we can't work together on certain projects. If you know, we're both qualified, so why not? So I think that I want people to know and encourage them to reach out to other publicists if they need help on projects, and also
Great
just
point.
remembering to stay professional, because in the indie world that we're in, you know, you there's not necessarily HR, you know, all the time. Within
Right.
your own company, yes, but when you're working with other clients, not necessarily. No, and I feel like some people can, you know, tap the right buttons. So just remain grounded and just remain professional, because it only takes one person to, you know, hurt your credibility in this
Right.
field. And as you know, this is a small industry, especially in Atlanta. So a lot of us know one another, and
Right.
you just don't want to hear. And because I mean, I'm sure you've heard like PR disasters, and they'll say, "Oh, it was this person," and you know,
Right.
we may or may not know that person, but it only takes one person to hurt your credibility. So just try to remain professional at all times, even if there are certain situations that may take you out of your element where you don't want to remain professional. But just try and strive to do that, because that credibility, you don't need it to be shot. So just you know, so I just hope that we can all work together. You know, it's not just women, men as well. There's a lot of business going around, especially in the Atlanta market. It's booming with emerging brands, emerging
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs that need publicists and need marketing. And so yeah, so that's just, I think that's just the biggest thing, like just making sure you remain humble, professional, and at the same time, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Now I do. I have one more question. Well, I got two more questions. I got my final thoughts question, but that
There
was
goes
a
that
you
be
made a
more
great.
accent. There's two more questions.
Yes, two. You just made a great point that I just wanted to piggyback off of a little bit when you were saying emerging brands and talent here that need publicists. So for
Yeah.
people who want to connect with those brands or connect with people who are looking for a publicist, how do you excuse me, that new publicists or publicists who are looking for people, how do you recommend they find and connect?
Well, so that's a great question, and I think that there was certain people even in our groups that we're in, because we're in multiple groups together actually
Hmm.
on, you know, Facebook, and there's people who have reached out to the group that are not publicists but looking for them. So I think that that's a great resource to use. So if you know, coming from, for example, I was looking for what was it I was looking for? Let's just say I was looking for a house painter. So I just Googled like businesses in Atlanta, and it's a whole bunch of different organizations that come up that they could probably refer me. So even though I'm going off, I'm trying to align the two. So if you're looking for PR people, then you'll find us on Facebook,
Right,
100%.
right.
You'll find us on social. Hashtagging is really big. I mean, I even find journalists on social media nowadays, and I'll just DM them or email them, and don't even have the youth vision right now, you know. So I
Right.
think it's important that you just understand where you're coming from and what you need. Identify what it is that you need, and then research it, because we're there. And I don't think that, you know, even if people have come to me, specifically living in Atlanta, about music, and I
Hmm.
do not represent artists. You know, if they have a
Okay.
nonprofit, I could represent them, but that's not where my contacts lie. So I
Hmm.
always refer them to someone else whom I know that can do the job better than I can, so I don't set myself up for failure or
Right.
have leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. So referrals is important, because there's a lot of times. One of my good girlfriends, Tawny, referred me before to one of
She
my
just
clients.
logged on.
Hey, girl. I had to call her out, because she did. You know, she did refer me to a particular client, and you know, and I felt that was, you know, that showed that okay, maybe I am doing something good, because sometimes you don't know if you're doing a
Right.
good job not.
Right.
But I think that referrals are really important, and I think that we can refer one another too. But for people who are looking for publicists, I do, do your research. It's really important to know who you're going to work with, who you're, giving your money to, and who's providing, these services to you. And I think that people who are looking for publicists all the time don't necessarily know if they really need one. That's weird. So I'm like, are you sure you need a publicist right now? And I'll tell people, like, I don't think you need one. I don't think you need one right now.
Right.
I think that you need to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure some things out. And I don't mind giving you some free advice for that. But but like, I like going back to, not to go on a tangent, but find us. We're there. And look at these groups that we're in, Google publicist groups or Google PR groups, and do referrals. I mean, I don't think, not referrals, but references. I think that people lack that. I don't think I've gotten a lot of clients, and I don't think anyone has ever said, like, hey, we looked at you, can I get some references? And I think that's important too. Before you give me any type of dollar, you should definitely make sure that I am capable to do what it is that you're asking me to do. So, that's one thing I recommend for people who are looking for publicists: get a reference. And that goes back to the credibility thing, remain professional at all times. Because I know, I have an ally in Adrian, and Adrian has an ally in me. So I know that if if I refer someone to you, that I know that it's good, they're in really good hands,
Right.
And so that's just my take on it. It's just so, girl, we can go on for days.
I know. I wanted to say, when you were saying it, I wanted to be like, I hate when people come and say, okay, listen, somebody told me I need a publicist. I don't know why, or I don't know what you do, but they told me that I need one.
And I'm like, who was that? Someone who does plumbing for a living? Like, I don't get it.
So,
you know.
Right. So I do appreciate your time. I appreciate
you
everything. So I just want to send you off, give you your final thoughts moment, anything you want to share, tell everybody how to reach you.
Okay.
Let us know again your expertise, your markets, your focus, and anything else you want to say.
So this is Katrina Highsmith. I am, once again, the founder and senior brand strategist at the Highsmith Group. You can find me on social media at the Highsmith Group. And I specialize in fashion, nonprofit, and lifestyle brands, and, media relations, brand development for that niche. You can actually go to my website. It's thehighsmithgroup.com. And this is me signing off at Diary of a PR Diva. So thank you so much for having me, Adrian. I really appreciate your time.
You're more than welcome. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for dealing with me with the time change, but we will talk.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one.
Blessings. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.